Hi, my name is Jamie Thibodeau, and this is my 9th year of teaching 3rd grade in Wimberley. When I first started, we gave a test that was called the TEKS test. It was 48 questions, it wasn't timed. It gave us a very clear picture of how our students were doing in math and what they struggled with. Shortly into my teaching, they decided they wanted to change the test and they wanted to make it more rigorous. And they were going to add some problem solving to it, they were going to add some questions to it. We weren't really sure how it was going to work out, but that first year of the STAAR test, we realized how devastating it was to our kids. The test, at least for the math portion of our 3rd grade test, is 54 questions. That is the same length as the math portion of the SAT test that students take after high school. And so one of the things is that a student can attend or focus on anything for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes times their age. So that would put my 8 and 9-year-olds to be able to attend about 24 to 45 minutes. So when we teach, we focus on that kind of attention span. We try not to make our lessons too long. However, we're giving them a test that is essentially 4 hours, and it is 54 questions, and we're expecting them to master all of it. We're watching our students that are getting exhausted about 45 minutes into it, and there's nothing that we can do because the state of Texas says that 54 questions is reasonable for an 8 and 9-year-old to be able to do. The following day, they take a reading assessment that is 5 full stories. Each story has 8 to 10 questions, and they get to do it all over again. And if the question length of the test was not inappropriate enough, they put a 4-hour time limit on it. Now, 4 hours is reasonable for most students to be able to complete it, but when you put a time limit on students, you've added another layer of anxiety to them. We're seeing kids that are getting sick, we're seeing headaches, we're seeing anxiety issues that we've never seen before. We never saw this with the TEKS test, and it's really not good for kids. But then on top of that is that the questions in the tests themselves are so extremely inappropriate. For me as a teacher, it's not showing me if my students really know a skill or not. It's showing me, were they tired? Did they wear out by the end of the test? Or was the question tricky? Or did it have so many different steps into it that they just got kind of lost in the process? Here's an example of one of the tricky questions. This question says Peyton has 9 coins that total exactly $1.27. Which set of coins could be Peyton's coins? Well, the thing is that B and C are both the correct answer. They both have $1.27, except B has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 coins, and C has 10 coins. They both add up to $1.27. This isn't questioning whether or not they can count money. If they counted this correctly, it would be $1.27. It's questioning whether or not they can follow direction. This question was not even on one of our skills. In 3rd grade, the year that I taught this, my skill was multiplication from 0 to 12s. This is what we call an input-output chart. Their job was to figure out what the pattern was going across the table. And we've always taught them it's addition or subtraction, multiplication or division. In this case, this is times 16. We don't teach times 16 in 3rd grade. It's not even our skill. We certainly don't teach dividing by 16 because in 3rd grade, the only type of multiplication and division we're doing is your basic facts. And the multiplication that we have is maybe 2 by 1 digit, but that's it. So this question doesn't even fit with what 3rd grade is able to do because it's extended past our skills even. And one more, this one kills me. In this particular one, they had to look at all of these bars. They had to figure out what each bar was. They had to know that the in-between ones were counting by 2s. But then some of these are not even on a line, so then they needed to know that those were counting by 1s. Then they needed to label every one of these bars. They needed to figure out that the total was 82. They needed to add the bars up and then subtract it from 82, find that answer, and then they had to find which one of these bars correctly showed the amount that would add up to 82. Again, it is multiple steps. I do feel like that some students maybe could do this, but on 54 questions, probably not. And as many steps as they put into this one question, you're setting our students up for failure.
Many kids learn in different styles, many different fashions. What happens is some children have learning disabilities. anything from dyslexia to some type of learning processing that they just can't quite learn the same way other children do. We're giving one test for all children. Teachers are expected to do what is best for the child. Why is the creators of the test not doing the exact same thing which is expected of the teacher? I wish you could see what I see, because this one test for all does not work.
Hi, my name is Melissa Uroda, and I'm a reading intervention teacher here at Jacobswell. I am a master reading teacher certified, and I also have a specialization in dyslexia, and I work with struggling readers as well as students with dyslexia. What I've observed about the state mandated testing is that it is really frustrating for our students because they are not wired to think that way at this age and developmental level. They are still concrete thinkers and can't do that kind of abstract thinking that the test requires. The time limit on it is also very difficult because dyslexic students really struggle with processing information, and they read at a much slower pace than the average student. They cannot sit for 4 hours and attend to that kind of test and need frequent breaks. They become very frustrated. They start to shut down in the classroom, but being the kind of students they are, they persevere and they work and they work and they work. They put so much effort forth only to find out at the end of the test that they did not do well or they barely passed. And they can't understand why, when they put as much effort forth into the testing, that they're not getting the results that they think they should have. And then I have to go into a meeting with a parent who is dealing with a child who's coming home dejected and worn down and feeling so horrible about themselves for a test that really is not appropriate for them. So I'm just here to ask you to help us stand up and let the legislation know that this is not good for our kids.
The test was our only problem before. We felt like it's totally inappropriate for our students, but now we have an added problem, which are the skills themselves, which have changed this year. A lot of the standards had moved down from grades. And the other problem that we're really seeing is that there is so many skills, it's impossible for us to teach every one of those skills by the time the STAAR test comes. So we're rushing through skills trying to get them taught, but as a math teacher, I know that in order to teach a skill to the depth that is really necessary to do a problem like this, you've got to teach the basic skill to mastery, and then you have to have time to extend and go deeper into it, and we just do not have that kind of time. And then on top of it, the shift of the focus on the math standards has gone from getting the correct answer, and now we're shifting over to the process of getting an answer. So for example, on a problem that's a subtraction problem, instead of asking for what 205 minus 178 is, they're going to ask for how could you find 205 minus 178 by expanding the numbers and subtracting. So in each problem, they're not focusing so much on the correct answer, which we all know in real life you need to know the correct answer, but they're focusing on the process to get there. And in our skills, they're requiring us to have at least 5 different ways to teach subtraction. We're supposed to teach several different models because it's going to be on a test.
This is another problem that we did. They were trying to show the kids how to use doubles plus 1. And there really wasn't an opportunity for us to have manipulatives out to do this. This was kind of all supposed to be done in their head. So they had to look at this problem, 4 plus 5, and they had to decide that they had to use the smallest number as the one they were going to carry down. So they just brought the 4 down here. Then they had to rename 5 so that it would make a double fact. So they had to rename 5 as either 1 plus 4 or 4 plus 1. They had to see where this number was first. So they had to put 4 plus 1 when they renamed 5. And then they came down here to this level and they used their double fact and got 8. And they brought their 1 down, and 8 plus 1 is 9. Therefore, 4 plus 5 is 9. It helps them it's trying to help them visualize what the double fact is. The problem is, it's too much for first graders to do. They not only had to rename 5 as 4 plus 1, They had to figure out which had to come first. They had to do it quickly and figure out which one would come first. Because if the 4 had been the second add-in, then it would have been 1 plus 4 plus 4. So it's just too much for first graders to grasp. They can't rename it and add it all together and then see that this relates back to this. It's just too hard for them to do.
One of the things that we're finding is after going through something like this, when you give a child just a regular math paper, maybe even a fun paper that has addition problems on it, I have some children sometimes in my class that'll, all of a sudden I look at them and they've got tears in their eyes and I'm like, what's going on? And they said, I don't know how to do this. And I said, baby, you've always known how to do addition. You've always shown me that. Show me, use your fingers. And we talk, there's 4 and there's 5. What does that add up to? And they'll tell me, well, 9. Well, I do know how to do this. But they've gotten so confused with some of the strategies that they think they can't when they see it just, and are given an opportunity to choose whatever they want to do to find the problem.
Before moving to Wimberley, I was a 6th grade teacher, and I taught 6th grade math for 13 years. Some of the things that I teach to my 4th graders this year are the exact same things that I taught to 6th graders 2 years ago. An example of that would be fractions. In the 4th grade, we are having to teach 4th graders how to simplify fractions, get common denominators, put fractions in order from least to greatest, and several other things that involve knowing how to multiply and divide fractions. Yet 4th graders don't know how to multiply and divide fractions.
In parent conferences that I had a few weeks ago, parents were concerned saying, my child's coming home with headaches, with stomach aches, not wanting to come to school. I don't know what's going on. They've never had this issue before. I said, well, you know what's going on. The TEKS have changed. We have 50% more TEKS in 5th grade, and that's not just 5th grade. That's in grades across the board. To me personally, in 5th grade, when the children are having ulcers and anxiety and headaches and migraines and not wanting to come to school, something's not right.